Welcome back to another episode of Fully Stoked Podcast. I am your host, Sarah Stokes, and I am so excited to bring you today Tara McAlister, my good friend, newish friend for about a year, but she has helped me so much, and you guys are going to learn so much from her. Welcome, Tara.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, first of all, before we get started, if you've never watched Fully Stoked Podcast before, I'm your host, Sarah Stokes. By day, I'm a mortgage lender, and I help you with all of your home financing needs, whether it be refinancing, cashing out, purchasing your primary residence or investment home. But what I really like to do is connect experts like Tara McAlister here with you, because there are so many people out there that can glean from your wisdom and your knowledge, Tara. Tara has a lifetime of experience working in HR, leading lots of leadership. She's a speaker, network connector, and HR consultant. So we're so excited to have you here today.
Thank you. And thank you for how you connect people. I love that. That's one of the things that was really attracted me to you when we met through networking. So thank you for what you do.
Honestly, when you told me that, that really helped me. I didn't really know. So that was helpful. See, that was a helpful HR thing that you probably knew to tell me to continue doing that. And I wouldn't have known had she not told me. So something simple like that you see pretty easily. And I don't think I would have seen it. So
well, it's really funny because I tell people, oh my God, you're so passionate. You're so good at blank. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And isn't that great to hear?
That's the way you're made. That's the way you're set to work. And it does help. And it helps me. Another thing Tara helped me with was find an excellent assistant. And she's awesome. I mean, so Tara, you did that. And I know you've done it for other friends too. And so she brings just a ton of knowledge and wisdom and experience. So anyway, so check this episode out, because you're going to want to hear, if you're an entrepreneur, if you have your own business, if you're interested in having your own business, this is one you don't want to miss. Well, let's dig right in. Tara, you are the founder of the People Strategy Group.
Yes.
That's wonderful. You have this belief the best business strategy starts with people.
Absolutely.
What does that mean?
Well, you can have the best products, you can have the best service, but unless you have the best people to deliver it or produce it or to sell it, it doesn't really matter. So, I love helping business owners find people that have their passion and understand their expectations to help them get their goal across, the finish line. So that helping them understand what their expectations are as far as an employee, and finding the wealth in that. Find business owners, they'll have a marketing strategy or a financial strategy, but how are you going to get your people to help you make the most of your revenue?
And I think that's like a specialized area, because if you're a business owner or you're in business for yourself, which I am, I know what I do and I know how to do that well, but I don't know how to do the things to get me more successful. And people are very important. As I found out, hiring someone to help you is super important. And most of us don't have any idea what to do when we're screening, potential candidates to hire.
Usually you want to find somebody that you like.
Right. Exactly.
One of my number one rules, and I think I told you this, if I don't want you thinking during the interview, oh, I like them. No. Are they going to push my business forward? Are they going to make a difference at the end of the year in that P&L?
Yeah.
Is this person going to bring a talent, a skill set, open up a new door, or a new vertical for my business that is going to push me forward and my business forward?
Yeah.
Hey, I like a lot of people.
Right. But not everybody's the right fit.
No, not. Yes. So knowing how to work with people, get the right people around you is the key to really being successful.
Yeah, it is. So tell us your story. How did you get into people strategy and leadership development?
I actually was taught school for 4 years.
Too.
Yes. And I also then got into recruiting and staffing, and then started working for a great multi-specialty practice here in Charlotte. Had a fantastic mentor that kind of allowed me to make mistakes without being scared to make them, and took risks. And I learned all kinds of things and got into training and employee relations and recruiting. And then due to COVID, I got laid off, and which was a big pivot. But then I started working for a company where I was selling employee benefits.
Okay.
And what I found is I would go in and try to sell benefits, and instead I'd have managers or leaders say, if you had an employee who was exhibiting this behavior, what would you do? And so I was starting more of a consulting thing, and I wasn't really selling that. So started working for a consulting company and just got to the point where I was like, I would love to do this tearaway.
Yeah.
And so started doing that and absolutely love it every day.
So you started that in January?
In January.
Yeah. So about 6 months ago, over 6 months ago. And you've done other things too. You were in leadership at the chamber.
Yes, I got really involved with the Union County Chamber, which I love. The head of the Women in Business program, and then also an ambassador. So really getting involved with that organization is great. I'm also a big believer in, if you're going to be a part of a chamber, you're a part of the chamber, so you get really involved. And
I need to do that. So thank you for telling me that. More wisdom. Okay, because I am a member. I don't go to as many opportunities or events as I should, and I think I need to.
Well, I think it's not what I've learned about, one of the things I've learned about recruiting. It's not about going to all the events. It's finding the right rooms.
Okay.
Is it this program or is it this specialty? Because there's so many different things.
Yeah.
And I found the right women and men of the chamber that I knew that those are the rooms I wanted to be in.
Okay.
And so found where they were and just stalked them. And found the room. So
I like the Women in Business. I've done that several times. That seems very helpful. And I do most of my network in women's.
Right.
Actually, all of it. And women's networking, I can't think of anything that I do with men. Actually, it's nothing against men. It just seems very easy for me.
Yeah.
But as an HR person, I'm sure you work with men and women on a daily basis, so it makes sense too, obviously. And I do, as a lender, I do work with men and women, but just with my referral partners, realtors, and things like that, it just seems to be a little bit easier to work with other women in some of my groups. But now I'm thinking maybe I need to expand my horizons and try other things. I don't know. I'm going to go to the chamber events and check it out. So see, dropping nuggets right and left. All right. So you started your entrepreneurial journey in January. It's been 6 months. You have a wealth of knowledge. You were a teacher and you do teach. I can tell that's your way. You like to teach people to do things for themselves. Like you've told me what were come up with 5 questions that you need to ask each candidate and make sure you're kind of keeping, not score, but notes on it. So, you might forget. And I was like, okay, that's really good information. So I made a spreadsheet and great information. So you're a good teacher. You can tell that you do that in the people strategy group. And then now that you're an entrepreneur and you have your own business, it's the Tara way. What have you found? Tell us, girl, tell us.
I tell you what, I've found that, I remember at first, it's like the big elephant, where do I start?
Yes.
And I think that's, is it a website? Is it business cards? Is it my social media content? I need a computer. I need a laptop. I need a printer. I need a phone. I need all these things and trying to figure out where it all fits in the timeline.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest lessons that I learned is that I had to give myself grace. Because if I continued at the pace I was getting so overwhelmed. I wasn't enjoying it very much. And so if I don't enjoy it and I'm not happy doing it, why would I do it? Right?
That's it.
I mean, I guess I'm at an age where I want to be happy doing what I love to do. And I'm good at it. It's just like you're happy doing what you do because you're really good at it. Right? I mean, how great is it that every day you get to go out and help people realize that they have equity in their home, that they can, help with college
pay off debt,
tuition, all the other things that they want to do, and I love seeing a business owner have a light bulb moment of, why was I trying to push that incredibly customer service oriented person into an accounting position when, gosh, they're the best at what they do, and they can increase sales with a new strategy and inside sales process that we can put in place. And it's those light bulb moments that just make me really excited.
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. So just as a side note, I met a lady who administers the DISC assessment. And I took one online a couple of years ago, and I liked the results because I thought, oh, that's just like me. I didn't realize, it put it on paper for me. I think I'm going to take it again. I think it's supposed to be consistent no matter how many times you take it, but I feel like I just want to. Anyway, do you use any assessments or things like that, strength assessment, any of that stuff?
I do. I am not, I know where I'm really great. I know what I do really well. Assessments is not, I have different referral partners that do predictive index, for example,
Okay.
and that I can refer to. I have other friends who are certified in other types of assessments that are really good for different industries that could refer out to.
Oh, that's smart. So yes.
Because, like, for example, I don't do compensation. That's not my thing. But there's other things that I'm really good at, and I'll find people to do those pieces.
Okay,
and I
that's
know
good.
assessments are good. I think one of the things that when you start looking at assessments, you need to make sure you understand exactly why you're using what you're using
Okay.
and if it fits what you're doing.
Okay.
The DISC is wonderful.
Yes.
But if you only use DISC to identify the candidate and then leave it, then why you're using DISC. You should use DISC from the interview, through onboarding, through performance management. It should be a process throughout the entire life cycle of the employee.
Yes.
So there's things to use for testing, I think, but
shouldn't be the only thing.
It shouldn't be the only thing.
Right. Okay. Well, that's interesting. So that helps me understand your business, because I'm not in your business, so I don't know it. Just like I don't even know how to interview. You have to tell people. So that's why, people that are experts and have tons of experience, that's why they're important. If you're in, starting your own business or in entrepreneurship, I think it's so important to network and have friends like you. We went to breakfast one day and I was like, let me do a real quick. Because like she was just sitting there just spouting off information. I was like, hold on. Like I was like taking notes and like, and it was like the reel was, what was it? It was something like point of view, or have breakfast with people who know what they're talking about. They're experts in their industry or whatever. Because it was so helpful, incredibly helpful. You don't know what you don't know. So I now know, it sounds like what you would do is, and help me with this. Would you come in and you would help like a mid-size company?
Mid-size, I work with clients who have 50 employees. I have a client who's had 9 employees. And, it's really kind of been all over, kind of all over right now. And usually they bring me in and think they have this problem, but it's something completely different. And I love the listening part. I'll ask these questions and continue to ask this question and continue. Let's talk about this. They'll say, well, I can't keep employees because I don't provide benefits. That'll be like, I hear that all the time. And I'll say, okay, well, wait, let's look at that and why you think that. And then what we'll find is it's not that. Maybe they have a manager who doesn't have the leadership skills they need to coach employees. And that's why they're losing employees. Or I'll say, okay, well, when do you lose employees? Is it at 6 months, 3 years, 5 years? Because if you lose an employee at 6 months, it indicates something completely different if you lose an employee at 3 years.
Okay.
If you lose an employee at 3 years, that means you don't really have much of a growth pattern in your company, and the succession planning's not there. If you're losing someone at 6 months, they were a wrong hire. Either you didn't hire correctly and didn't know what you needed and you hired the wrong person, or you misrepresented the job to that person. Typically, not 100%, but most likely. So there's some pieces that, especially lots of questions.
And she can help you. She can help you because she helped me like figure out what it was that I needed, really. And you gave me, I think, some guidelines on writing what my needs were, and I think you even were like, do you really need that? And I was like, well, okay, you're right. Okay. And I had to go back and rethink it. You just have a way of like seeing, what it is that really I needed, I guess.
And it's visualizing. And what I wanted you to visualize is the successful person. So don't think about what you wanted them to do, but thinking like, if you can picture them 90 days in.
That's what I was going to ask you next. Yes.
That 90 days in, they're doing the things that are pushing your business forward. What are the things they're doing to push that business forward?
Okay.
What are you seeing them do?
Okay. I love that.
And then back off from that. And then what we do is we then decide, okay, to be able for them to do those things, what behavioral competencies do we need? What do they need to be able to do? Like if, for example, if you need somebody super creative, right? Then we'll need to make sure we ask interview questions based around that.
Okay.
If you need somebody super detail oriented, those certain things, somebody who is a problem solver or whatever the behavioral. And then on the technical side, if you're a Google Docs person, you'll need to make sure, there's questions you should be able to ask specific technical questions and really see how high, what's their competency level of Google Docs or whatever. So really starting in the visualizing success first
And kind of work backwards.
so
Okay.
that you know what you need.
Wonder why so many business owners don't know. I think we kind of talked about it, right? Because I know what I know, but I don't know what you know about hiring people, right?
And that's like, I would, I barely, I wouldn't do my own mortgage. I mean, I would not know what, that's why you go to an expert. Like, for example, I had some electrical work done this morning. I would never have done that myself.
Don't do that.
Right. I mean, you find the people to help you. And when I talk to business owners and we talk about turnover and I explain how expensive that is, and they're like, wait a minute, I didn't think about the fact that I just spent $25,000 on losing this person. And I'm like, yes, because you paid them all this money. They produce nothing. Now you're going to spend this money to find somebody else, plus the morale of everybody around them. And you explain that cost. And they're like, wow, I didn't realize that $25,000 just went out my back door.
Wow.
You know, and then how do we stop that? And whether it's training a manager or maybe it's explaining, getting a better job description, can always, those little fixes can keep that $25,000 from walking out the door.
Wonder, I think you should do like a reel or something for social media, just like, because you've got so many little nuggets of information that, people need to know, just like your network of friends, like we all follow you. And so something like the 5 hiring mistakes business owners make, or the real cost of hiring the wrong person.
Oh yeah.
Depending on the business, it could be 25,000, could be more or less. Yeah. Just, I mean, in the time it takes for like a solopreneur to train someone. And then if that person doesn't, work out, then you have to look at like the cost of like how much is my time per hour.
Right.
And all of that. So I think that it's really important. So guys, if you are considering hiring an assistant or any salesperson, whatever, definitely you need to consult with an expert.
Right. If you're going to invest in hiring somebody, make sure you're hiring the right person. I'll have somebody hand me a job description and I'm like, how old is this job description? When's the last time, if the word facts is on the job description, I mean, please, let's back up and try it, and so, it's really, let's make sure we're buying the right thing. It's like going to the car dealership and I just need something with 4 wheels. And then, okay, well, that's basically what your job description says is 4 wheels and a steering wheel.
Barely get by. Right. You need more than that.
We need more meat to it than that. So, a really solid job description says that you need something that has that 3rd row or has to have some kind of GPS, whatever it is, so that that when you go to the car dealership, you have exactly what exactly what you're getting.
Yeah. So coaching is sort of a piece of what you do too. You help the business owners and figure it out.
Right? I do. And that's the part I love. The communicating. I've had a lot of difficult conversations in my life in HR.
You told me some, and they sound interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. My husband's like, I'm waiting for the book,
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe
me
one
too.
day.
Yeah.
But, sometimes it's just saying, why do you think that? Or let's back up and rethink that. Or let's have that difficult conversation. Or, you promoted the wrong person. We can back up and fix this before it gets out of hand. And let me show you how to do that in a way that's not going to hurt that manager's success.
Didn't you tell me you can also do like trainings? So for example, if you start working with a company and maybe they haven't done enough training for their management, something like that, you can develop a whole program, right?
In fact, I'm working with a group right now and I'm so excited. So they're doing a manager training and it's everything from how to hold people accountable, giving constructive feedback.
I want to go.
How to have a difficult conversation, the basics of HR and people management, just those little things. And then we're also doing coaching in between that. So I'll be able to work with the individual managers on employees that they're currently having issues with. So coaching them to be able to take action, and we'll have case studies. So working with them to do that. So every day is completely different, which is so fun. And so,
do you think emotional intelligence can be taught with coaching? And
yes, I always laugh about the word emotional intelligence. My mom would always say, they were just not raised right, which says so much about emotional intelligence. But I think so much of it is modeled. It starts from home in a lot of ways, and it's funny to watch some people who just cannot read a room.
Yes.
and read a conversation and can barge into a conversation. I see it happen all the time. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, we're in a meeting.
Well, so there's that book. I don't, there's several books on emotional intelligence, but when I was a school teacher in Cabarrus County, I was in like management leadership over 4 or 5 schools, and I was the EC lead teacher, I guess. So it was a really cool experience, and they gave us a lot of good training. But one of them it was a little white book with red title, and I forget who it's by. But it was emotional intelligence, and I can't remember the exact title, but it was a whole maybe day or two, and we went through a workbook. It was really good. It was some really basic stuff, I think, but kind of like your basic stuff when you're like, hold on, do you really need that in an employee, or let's break it down a little bit more. So that emotional intelligence sometimes I think it can be taught with coaching and a workshop. Have you ever thought about doing a workshop on emotional intelligence? You should do it.
You fill my calendar so quickly.
So let's do it. So seriously, I've also thought about etiquette, business etiquette, and then also just etiquette. I think it's not a lost art, but I don't see it as often. When I was a teenager in Monroe, North Carolina, I was on the Belt Team Board, and they had an etiquette class where we learned about the forks and the spoons and the different, plates and glasses and everything. And honestly, I am 48 years old, and I still am grateful that I had that class.
Oh yeah.
They taught us how to dance, and I thought, gosh, that would be really a great thing to offer my children. So I've looked into it. Etiquette coaching is not cheap in the Charlotte area.
Great. I looked
like $500 for one session, and that's just one session. I mean, we need more than one session, but there's so many components of it. It's not just sitting at a table, right? It's not just learning how to dance, but business etiquette is a whole nother thing.
Yeah. It's one of the things, like in networking, people that walk into a networking event for themselves, going in, who's going to help me today? I can spot them. I can spot them I can actually, I know I can pick them out when they're walking through the door.
Right.
But and those are the people that I just want to say, turn around.
Right.
It's not what you're here to do. You're here is to see who you're going to help today.
Oh, that's so good. See, that is just like a nugget. So I've never thought of that. I've never broken it down. I do so much networking, but I just never knew that. So that's so good. So you could do a class on business etiquette. That could be your number one. Don't walk into a room and see who's going to help me today.
Because if you go into it with, who am I going to find to help today? You will connect with somebody and you will help them. Gosh. And imagine it sophisticates the web even better. Whether it's you're going to meet somebody new that has a similar hobby of yours that you can connect over. And then maybe you see an article later that relates to their business that you can send them later or whatever it is. So don't walk into a networking event of who's going to help me today.
Right.
Because to me, when I meet those kinds of people in a networking event, and I can see it, it's a complete turnoff.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah.
It's like in the dating scene, the boy coming up into you and saying, I live with my mother, so do you want to come meet her right now? The first time he meets you.
Desperate.
Like, it's like the first time he meets you, first day, hi, I live with my mom. Yeah. Do you want to come meet her right now? She's in the parking lot, Okay. That's how it feels to me when I meet networking people who walk in and say, what are you going to do for me today?
Oh, okay.
It just feels.
Yes. And so I will be honest with you. I don't know that I'm not that comfortable going into events that I have not planned and leading. And so that's helpful.
Really?
I'm just not that comfortable. I'm like, because I went to one about 2 months ago, and I was, the host was fantastic, but very busy. So she didn't introduce me to anyone. And I felt very like, so then going over and meeting people was difficult, but I didn't know anybody in the room. So that might be different. Maybe if you know a few people in the room, you can then go out and do it. And I'm pretty extroverted, so I can imagine someone who's not as extroverted that maybe being very difficult. But I think that is good advice. How can I help you? Tell me about what you do, and let's see if I can help you do this or that or whatever. I think that's a good strategy, a really good strategy. People strategy. What? I get it.
I love the fact that one of the things I love to do is I love to do the wing woman or wingman kind of networking, taking somebody with you, even if both of you don't know anybody in the room, be like, have you met my friend Sarah?
Yes.
My name is Sarah. This is Sarah. She's the most fantastic mortgage person, but what her real talent is she connects really great people who do great things, and you need to see her podcast.
That way you can like help them by meeting someone else immediately.
Right. And so all of a sudden now she remembers about the more. Now she wants to hear more about your podcast, and now about your business.
Yes.
And then
I can reciprocate. And then I can say she was on the podcast.
Yeah.
Tara was recently, and Tara is an HR phenom. I mean, she's amazing.
And then all of a sudden now you have 3 people who are interacting on not just what their business is, but who they are and what they do for other people.
Right.
Which when people hear about that you do things for other people, they want to get to know you because they probably feel the same way.
That's awesome. I like that. That's a good nugget. So there's some business etiquette for you. And it sounds like we're going to do a business etiquette class in the near future on emotional intelligence and a variety of other things, how to network, stuff like that. In fact, you will be in September, I believe. Is it September? You and Lou Tendazzo and
Sabrina Winters
are going to be doing a speaking engagement at the Javina Cafe in Waxhaw, North Carolina. It's just a suburb of Charlotte. All 3 of these ladies are the wealth of knowledge. Lou is a business coach, and Sabrina is an attorney, and she does estate law, estate planning. And so they're all going to talk about, business and life, and it's like 3 phases. So I think it's going to be worth it if you want to come out and check that out. What I'll do is I will connect in the summary below this video information on that, and how to register. Probably we'll have the event up pretty soon. So, okay. And while we're on that, if somebody wanted to get more information about you, do you have a website or an email that they can reach out to?
I do, thepeoplestrategy.com.
Okay.
Also, my social media channels on Facebook and Instagram.
Yep.
I'm on there personally.
People Strategy?
The People Strategy, yes.
The People Strategy. Got it. Okay. That's always good. And she does have some good content, guys, and we're going to have a content day again, I think, pretty soon. Okay, so leadership development. You were talking about a little bit about that earlier. You're going to be working with an organization, training their management and doing some coaching in between the workshops, I guess. So why is leadership development one of the highest return on investments a company can make?
Because I don't know about you, but no one came to me and said, this is how you have a difficult conversation, and gave me that knowledge and just put it in my ear. Or somebody said, this is how you tell somebody you're going to let them go. Or this is how you're going to tell an employee that they need to improve their attendance. Or this is how you react when an employee tells you they're having mental health issues.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
No one gives you that class anywhere, right?
I can imagine. Yes, that's pretty tough. Mental health.
Okay, so the companies that are doing that are being able to then have people who are coaching their employees and managing their employees and giving them the support on a day-to-day basis. So when you have managers who are supporting employees on a day-to-day basis and leading them and coaching them, then it allows the whole company to be led and coached at the same time.
That's awesome.
Because when you don't have managers who know how to coach employees or lead employees, then the glue starts to fall off. To me, I always feel like leadership development is kind of like the Elmer's glue of an organization. If you have it all at the top and there's nothing down at the bottom, then it really kind of doesn't matter.
Right.
Or if it's too diluted and it kind of falls apart. But if you have it throughout, then everything kind of holds itself together and everybody is on the same page together.
I've seen it myself. So that definitely makes sense. So we talked about emotional intelligence can be taught, but is leadership something that you're just born with, or can that also be taught?
I think that it can be taught. I do think that there are people who are more prone to be leaders than some others. I think there's some people who are more coachable to be leaders than others. I think there are people who don't want to really be a leader, enjoy not wanting to be in that position. And I think they know it.
Right.
I have seen where an employee is really great at their job and they're promoted to like a lead position.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to be in my own little place. Let me be good at what I do. I'm not looking to do that.
Yeah.
Which is perfectly fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever worked with someone who technically looks really good on paper as a leader or something like that? I'm sure you have, but then they struggle How do you mitigate that? What happens?
Well, I wouldn't have fired
variety.
them. No,
Right.
you know, I've definitely met leaders who have it all on paper. You know, they've attended the seminars, they have the education, they have the initials after their name, but then when it comes to practice that, to apply what they've learned, they can't do it. And so those are the situations where then you have to help them realize that they may have the institutional knowledge or the book knowledge, but all right, now let's apply that and work it and role play it and be open to be coached.
Yeah. Coaching is important. So you do coach. You do. Absolutely. Okay. All right. So I know that I felt like I was putting out fires constantly with and that's just me. It's just me, but I was doing so many different things in my different groups and my podcast and then my actual money making business. And I was constantly, fixing things, working 12 hours a day. Why does that happen?
Well, here's what my first question is, were they all the same fires the same type of fire every week?
No.
Was there a pattern?
Probably. There probably was a pattern. Just probably I was overextending myself was the main pattern. But like in my work, you can't always anticipate fires with loans. Right. You can't anticipate some fires, especially if you're very precise. But other times, there won't be flooring and the downstairs basement or the downstairs bedroom that you didn't know about. And now they've got to go back and fix that and then have another appraisal and blah, blah, blah. So that's a fire that you can't avoid. But other fires, overextending myself and not having the social media put up in time or the Eventbrite's done in time or, the deposit on the venue or whatever, those things probably could have been avoided with a little help, I guess. So yeah, that's what you would do first is you would look for the patterns.
I'd first define fire. What's fire to you? Is it like, is anyone going to bleed, get hurt, lose a house, lose money? I mean, I'm working with a client now that has an employee that everything's a fire.
Right. Well, then that's no.
So everything's a fire. So, and I'm learning how to help them not think everything's, I'll say, okay, are we going to lose money because of this or just lose time? Or, what's the going to consequence? So let's back off.
Coping strategies.
Let's take it. So, but yeah, it's defining the intensity. Is it a flicker or where it's like a 5-alarm fire?
Yep.
Is it social media didn't get up today, but it can get up tomorrow?
Right. So it's not really a fire.
Yeah.
Identify patterns. I love it.
Family's still going to love you tomorrow.
Yes. We're going to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say I've gotten way more laid back. Well, every year that I live, I get more laid back because the alternative is just to get more uptight and tense and find an early death. Yeah. So I'm not going to do that, but I do feel like maybe fire. I was using that word and it's not really a fire. So yeah, I think that's good. All right. And then accountability is super important. How would a small business have accountability? Would they just have you work with them forever or do they have
it depends. It depends. I'm working with a great group right now. And we started just kind of on one project. And as I've gotten more talking to them more often and entrenched really into their culture, we have all these other projects. So I'm working with them on a monthly basis. Okay. I have a client who just, they wanted to really revamp, like how did their job descriptions and, fit in with their job postings and their interview guides. How did that all go together? Mm-hmm. So that was like a project. So it really depends on what the client needs and where they are in their growth. And, I've had projects that got started and completed in February. Now they're coming back and saying, okay, we need something else now. Okay. Or whatever. Or they'll call and say, hey, we've started noticing this issue. What do we do now? Okay. And so I love that because it's seeing the growth and each client has been different, which has made it a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about workplace culture. What is that, first of all?
It sounds very kumbaya, right? Yeah. But it is so important. People have to want to be where they are.
That's good. Yeah.
Not only they have to want to be there, want to be there, but they have to feel appreciated. This is not the 1960s bad men climate that we saw in that show. People expect to be respected.
Yeah.
And they should be respected in the workplace. And if they're not, they feel there's other grass.
Right.
There's another place that I can go. And as a business owner, you need to determine what does that mean to me? What is a culture? And, a lot of times small business owners start off by hiring their family and friends. And that's a blessing and that can be a curse. I've seen both ways. Yeah. But you need to determine what that culture is. How are we going to treat people? And handbooks get a bad name to me. I know that goes, on that side of people don't like to talk about it, but a lot of times the handbooks can really help with that. Okay. What are our expectations?
Okay.
How do we want people to
love
dress? How do we want people to dress? How do we want people to answer the phone?
Yes.
How long between you get the invoice and you can pay? Or when I go on vacation, how much notice do I need to give you? Or if I need medical leave, how does that process work? So it's not a guess. Are we off on the day after Thanksgiving? Are we off on Good Friday? How does that work? Okay. Or if Christmas is on Sunday, do I have Monday off or do I have Friday off?
Right.
All those things. And, so you're developing a culture of, hey, these are our expectations. These are our promises as an employer of what we are going to give you and you're going to give us, and we can work together.
So another thing that you can speak on is relationships, networking, and success. We've talked about networking a good bit, meeting people, authenticity when they walk in a room, and you've given us some good tips and hints on that. Networking, how has that impacted your career over time? Is it important, I guess, is the word?
Yes.
I agree.
Completely. Yeah. I take networking has been more of a benefit for me personally from a growth standpoint. Like I look at it I have all these people I can call. For example, when how many times have I said, hey, I have this thought. What do you think about this social media idea? Or I can call Kim and say, hey, I had this idea. What do you think? Like my network is to me like my board of directors. Like I really feel like I have a group of mostly women that I can call and say, hey, what would you do in this situation? Right. Or I had this prospect say this. What would you say back? I've had that conversation. I called an accountant friend of mine and said, hey, what do you think about this, this, and this? And she gave me a great direction. Right. I have friends who are attorneys. I said, what would you put on, just little things. And they'll call me and say, how, we do that with each other. Yeah. So networking for me it hasn't been business development unless it's more been knowledge development for me.
So, okay, let me just piggyback on that. That would be a really good point to have in your new workshop that you're working on, the business etiquette workshop. No, I'm serious because I can't put into words, and you just did. That's just one facet of why it's so important. But when somebody's like, why do you do this networking thing? Isn't that just so fake? You're just meeting people to get business. And it's like, no, I actually have met my friends through business networking events and organizations and women's groups and things like that. They're actual real friends, and it's a real relationship. And it's really nice when, like you said, I can call an attorney who I have become friends with and ask a question where it may cost me several $100s to get the answer to that question had I not, met them and become friends. But then they can also turn around and call me, and I can work for them and figure out a question about refinancing cash out for one of their clients that they're not ready to refer yet, but I can give them inside knowledge that they may not have been able to get, right? So it's a reciprocal relationship.
Absolutely. For example, I'm working with a client right now who we're trying to recruit a physician to come here, and he's got kids who are looking at different schools. And I called a friend of mine who's a realtor, and I said, do you know an educational consultant who works in Charlotte-Mecklenburg? And she's like, absolutely, I do. So I connected this doctor out in Colorado with his educational consultant here in Charlotte-Mecklenburg. And that was probably what's going to bring him to our practice. So
wonderful.
It was just thinking of, okay, who do I know that I can connect? Right. Because that's going to make the difference to this doctor. It was just, who do you know who I can call?
Resources.
It is. And that's, to me, it's like a toolbox. I have this toolbox of fantastic people that I talk to and I, meet up with to have lunch or coffee or wine or whatever, who build a professional toolbox for me to be able to ask a question of, my client has this question. They're not ready to refinance, but this was their question. They're going to probably come to you in a couple months, but this was what they're asking.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah. All right. I'm writing down the notes for your new workshop. Okay. And then how to enter a room is going to be a good one too. There's going to be some good stuff coming up. I have a feeling. So, all right, a couple rapid fire questions for you. What is your morning routine or like non-negotiable habit?
My non-negotiable habit is coffee with my husband in the morning.
I love that.
I allow him to make me coffee. Isn't that nice of me? No, he makes my coffee and we have coffee in the morning together.
That's wonderful. Okay. Best advice you've ever received about anything ever?
Remember who you are and whose you are.
That's good. Yeah. All right. One workplace myth people need to stop believing.
Gosh, one workplace myth. Everybody doesn't need to know everything. A lot of people share a lot at work.
Yeah.
And that is not necessarily a good thing. That can actually put business owners at a lot of risk.
Yeah.
If they know a lot about their employee. If their employee gives them a lot of information, sometimes it can put them at risk.
Okay. That's a really good one. All right. Last one. What's the biggest business lesson you've learned the hard way?
Be careful who you trust. Unfortunately, you have to remember that not everybody's intentions are your intentions.
That's right. All right. So if listeners only remembered one thing about our conversation today, what would you want it to be?
I would want it to be that you should when you go out to build relationships, go with a true intention of what can I do to help others?
That's right. That's awesome. And you have helped me so much. Thank you so much.
You've helped me so much.
Oh my gosh. See, there you go. Reciprocal, right? Thank you, Tara, for joining us. This was so good. If you want to learn more about Tara or the People Strategy, you can go to thepeoplestrategy.com. You can follow her on social media. She has a lot of nuggets that she leaves for you on social media. And there's that workshop coming up September 2026. So if this is after then, if you'll follow her on social media, you'll probably see that she's going to do some more things in the future. Until next time, we'll see you later. Thank you, Tara.
Thank you.